Alright, so I've already got the reservoir off the fan shroud. All it does is it's got two legs that stick in here. Then you got to put J-nuts behind those bolts, or to put the bolts on. The kit came with a hardware kit which contains the J-nuts and the bolts for that. Basically, let's see if we can do this. Get this shot. So you're just gonna push these on. It's not a lot of room to work, so it's gonna be kind of difficult, but I had to get a screwdriver to pry them. Yeah, I'm gonna get a hopefully you can see this. Let me see if I can. I'm just gonna, well, it's trying to get it, the trick's getting it over the lip because it's not really beveled very well. And it's catching on the there we go. So I'm just taking my screwdriver and prying it up like so. Crap. And I put that one on backwards after it fell off. So I'm gonna have to pop it back off. This isn't the easiest thing to do while showing y'all because the fan shroud itself doesn't want to stay upright. But let's see. Alright, well let me get this resituated and I'll be back. Okay, got the J-nuts in. I'm just going to set this reservoir down the holes. See, it lines up there and there. And this is just going to be getting these new screws tightened down. I would recommend replacing your reservoir. I just didn't think of it. Honestly, these old plastic reservoirs get brittle, and this one's already started to crack. But anyway. So, as far as mounting it, when you go to mount it, it's going to have two bolts that go on each top corner, and then down below, let me show you out of the kit. So the kit comes with everything you need. So obviously these two clips, there's two of these, they don't have holes in them to screw the bolts in, and the bolts you saw, the bolt holes were on the top, right? So you got two bolts, two smaller J-hooks, and then the two clips that go on the bottom. So I'm going to get these clips on the bottom and I'll show you what they look like once they're in. Actually, I will probably wait on that. I'll wait to get the fan actually bolted in before I do all that. So the fan hardware can wait because I still have to mount the clutch for the fan itself. So stay tuned. Alright, so when you get the clutch fan, it's going to come with 8 bolts, 4 like this, and then these 4. So these 4, the shorter ones, are to, I've already got 2 of them in. They're to bolt the clutch to the fan itself. So I think there's 2 different ways you could probably do this. I'm going to try doing it this way. But honestly, that's probably how you're going to bolt it. And this is just show you. I'm actually going to take this off because I'm probably actually going to bolt the clutch to the water pump itself first, and then I'll put the fan on last. But you basically replace these 4 bolts on the water pump with those 4 because they're longer, and then you have your clutch on there. You can put your shroud down in with the fan, which I'll show you, and then bolt the fan up appropriately. So let me go ahead and work on that, and I'll put this on. Okay, so I went ahead and tightened these down. They're 13 millimeters. I'm going to use the stock bolts that came with the car because they're actually a little bit longer than the ones that came in the LMR kit. But that's the last thing that's going to happen. So what I got to do first is basically put the fan into the shroud, set them both down in there, then bolt fan to the water pump, and then get the fan shroud bolted up. So give me a few minutes to get this ready. Okay, so I've got one bolt started, and I've tested it without the shroud to make sure I could stab the fan, the clutch on, because it goes around over this the hub of the water pump pulley. So anyway, I've got one started, so I could rest it there once I get it down. Let me go ahead and get going on this. See if we can kind of show this. This is going to be a little bit of finagling for me to get this all down in there. And show y'all. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Just don't have a lot of room to work here. Okay. Got one in. Let me start another one. Now, these are 11 millimeter bolts, and I don't know if I actually have trying to see if I have a ratchet wrench that will do this. Or 7/16 will work. Which I do have a 7/16 ratchet wrench. So, let's see if I can. Let me show you how tight it is in there. So it's it's just a matter of finagling and getting your tongue right to get it down in there and get a handle on it. Anyway, I'm gonna put this on a time lapse because this is, I'm probably gonna do some cussing. So hold on. Okay, so it's all tight in there. Now I just got to get the fan shroud mounted up. So you see, they kind of line up with these holes here. So that means I need to go get the J-nuts that came with the kit and the bolts. I don't know that this is really going to show well on camera, but it's gonna be what it is. So I'm just gonna stick these J-nuts down on these spots here on the radiator. Screwdriver. Try to pry these a little bit. There we go. This one down in here. Of course it doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. Now, these are, I guess, a 13 again. Nope. These are actually 7/16. So, trick is lining all this up so that you can get the bolts in the hole. But I need to adjust those. Alright, that's one started, or not. Okay. Get one of them started. Longer side. That one started. Like actually started. Feel like it could slide over. It's pretty center though. Alright, so the top bolts are mounted up. Get all that out the way. One thing you always want to check with something like this is you want to run the fan. Make sure you're not getting any contact. I'm not particularly a fan of this because it's a little bit further over to this side. That's where the holes line up. Can't slide it any further this way. So it is what it is. It's not making contact, so I'm not worried about that, but I just would have liked it if it came over a little bit further. But, before I hook up the reservoir and all that, still got to get those bottom J hooks on. These two guys. So let me get on the creeper and get those going. So you just push them on up in there. Make sure you do it like this, otherwise there's a hole on the bottom of the radiator on both sides for that J-clip to clamp into. It's kind of like that and just kind of clips in there. So you want to just push them up in there until you kind of feel them snap in. So next, I'm going to go ahead and get the vent tube onto the top of the radiator. I also need to hook up this guy here on the reservoir cap. Now we're pretty much ready to add coolant. So adding coolant to this guy. One downside about that bigger power wire is it takes away some of your room to work. That's okay. So, get my funnel. Oh, let me go clean my funnel out real quick. Okay, so going to be adding distilled water to the radiator first. Still got a little ways to go on that. So, get another jug. That was 1 gallon. And it's going to continue to bubble down as it's kind of leveling out. And but I'm going to go ahead and put some cool water in the reservoir as well. Which doesn't take a whole lot to get that to the cold fill. That's probably actually more than I needed. Oop. Leave that for now. Alright, so I've still got to get the rest of the car back together, get the airbox on, get the battery back in and hooked up. But that pretty much sums up what I'm going to do to get this thing going. This was the throttle body and whatnot that I've been, throttle body and EGR spacer. I'm going to wait on those till I get some of the other stuff ironed out. But for now, I'm just going to let that settle for a minute. I'm going to start putting the airbox and the battery back on and getting this car ready to fire. So stay tuned. Alright, she's running. I do believe I have a bad ignition switch. I tested that by pulling the switch coming off from the ignition switch, the signal wire. Cranked the key to the crank position while checking, and it wasn't putting out any voltage. So I think the ignition switch is probably bad, which is a common thing. I'm letting it warm up right now. I'm going to put a little bit more water in it so it doesn't suck down. There we go. I'm just letting it warm up now. Real quick. And you go ahead and take it. I'm going to stop this clip and I'm going to go back and show you what it takes to test the alternator.